welcome to our Fruitful Sundays. Of course, Fruitful Sundays once again, episode 5. I think we're moving quite alright. We're moving quite alright, man. We're moving quite alright. I love the pace, I love the engagement that I cannot stop saying thank you to. So this week I wasn't feeling okay. I can't even believe I'm starting it there. Not feeling okay, you know. But yeah, I wasn't feeling okay this week. I was very sick. I had a flu, which it even affected my productivity this week, and also our episode might be a little bit late. But otherwise, I said, hey, even though, but not with my people. You know what I mean? Not with my people. But others, welcome to your weekly doses, doc. Welcome to your weekly doses of Fruitful Sundays. Obviously, this is where you learn about, I don't know, what are we learning about here? I think we're learning about a few things, in fact. Like I said, I think we learning a few things, in fact. So we're learning like we grow spiritually, I want to believe. We grow financially lately. So now we're just going to be trying to grow us once more or grow you once more, you know, spiritually and emotionally, I want to believe. So yeah, man. Without having to speak more on it, uh okay, let me rather start with this. There's this other guy who once mentioned something like this. He said, "Life is like a game of chess. Life is like a game of chess, and you are the king. And if you are the king in a game of chess, the game doesn't end until the king is down, where the king cannot move even if it tries to go anywhere. That is a checkmate. Until the king is down, then the game is not over. You know, that's what he said." So I'm saying it to say that is just how it is. And it started with you. So on this week's episode, we're just going to be speaking about kings and the mental health. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be speaking about men. No, we're not speaking about men, but we're speaking about kings. Kings in your own life. Like I said, we're going to be speaking about kings in relation to the chess game. But in your life, you are your own king, you are your own queen. But otherwise, the game doesn't end until the king is down. Just like that. That's how life is, man. Be your own king and move like it, showing that, life will bring like a chess game. Life will bring pawns, will bring a horse, will bring. Those are just the seasons and storms. But until the king is down, life doesn't end. You move until the king is down. Then that is when the game is over. But if not so, life hasn't ended. Chess game doesn't end. You move. That's where we're going to start. But otherwise, welcome to our fifth episode. We're just going to be speaking about so sorry, man. We're going to be speaking about mental health. Mental health. I've realized that. Okay, plus it's June. June, mental health awareness. For men. But hey, we're not here for men per se. I'm not disregarding your ladies, of course. But we've got to start somewhere. And of which, where else to start except this month for men and obviously for youth, of course. So, yeah, we're going to be speaking about mental health. And what do I understand about mental health? I'm thinking mental health actually starts here. Before it goes anywhere, like before it goes to your emotional, or I think it starts here, psychological. If you're not okay psychologically, that is where then we can probably be speaking about your stresses, depression, and whatsoever. But mental health specifically, it is often more than not that bad things are to happen, and when good things happen, we don't even acknowledge the good. We're always too focused on what bad is happening. That when the good is happening, we usually don't even, focus on those good because I don't know, man. Are we okay? Let me speak it like all of a sudden. Most of us, in fact, if not all, of course, I don't know about others. Most of us, when things are going okay, we are afraid to embrace that okayness to say, I'm doing good. When someone asks me to say, how are you doing? I would rather be humble about. I'm not saying be rude or be arrogant about certain things, but when you're doing good in life, sometimes it's good to just say, "Dude, I'm doing good. I'm okay. God has blessed me, and God has shown up." You know what I mean? In as much as that is a season or that is a phase, or in as much as that is a move at that particular point in time, it's okay to say I'm okay. It's okay to say check, because you are, making the next person be aware of the fact that you are coming and you're doing okay. That will motivate them to now think of what is the next move that I can be able to do to also get myself in a position where I can be able to be okay. You know what I mean? Taking to the life side of things. Let me not confuse you, of course. What am I saying? That also helps the next person. Being okay and saying it out loud to say, dude, I'm fine. I'm doing okay. Actually, God has blessed me and God has given me all these things that I'm able to get to, or has put me in all these positions that I'm able to, because, I've put in the work, because I've showed up when I had nothing, when I was in your position. But right now, the season that I'm in, if it's summer, embrace summer like it is. If it's the season of blooming, bloom. Do not hold yourself back because of certain things that mental health problems, or probably being afraid of embracing that moment because of what the other external factors could be, or what the other next person can say about that particular phase of yours. Why am I saying this? If you are in a good phase, embrace the phase so that the next person can also be able to see that this is possible. That is why I once said, where I'm coming from is not my place of residence, it's my place of reference. Why am I saying that? Because I understand that there is phases to this thing. Even if I'm good where I am, it's a phase. This too may pass or shall pass. And I'll get to a phase that probably is more than that, or it's less of that which I was at. You see? So why am I starting at the first? I don't want to stress you. I know we're talking about mental health, but hey, there is that side of it as well. Being okay, but not acknowledging being okay because you are afraid that one, two, and three, mentally, psychologically, you just always, you're not embracing where you are as an individual. It's okay to just be okay and exercise being okay, so that the next person can be able to get the feel of how being okay is, and do not have to feel like being okay, it's not okay. You know what I mean? So also with that being said, there's also the other way around, not being okay. A lot of us are going through it. I won't lie. One, we graduating now. There isn't any place of work. Two, we literally just trying to put food in front of the other. You know what I mean? But one thing about the mental health that I'm speaking about is, I want to emphasize, in fact, one thing I want to emphasize about mental health is, there's always an answer to the question. And I know sometimes people do not want answers. They just need to be listened to. They just want, to be given a chance. But unfortunately, sometimes no one will give you a chance. You need to give yourself a chance. You need to knock on those doors. I know sometimes you knock on all those doors that I'm talking about. But like I said, until the king is down, the game is not over. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait and perhaps emphasize on that. Until the king is down, the game is not over. You are not doing okay. It's okay to not be okay. Trust me, it's okay to not be okay, because why am I saying this? It's a phase. This too shall pass. Embrace not being okay. Be okay with the fact that I'm not okay. I don't know how, but I know I've been there. I've had a season or a phase where I had done with my studies, and now I can't even further my studies because they're not accepting me. There's guys, and I'm trying to get a job, and I don't. I ended up just applying for anything that I can be able to get my hands on. And why did I do that? It's because I did not just want to sit and have to think about why. You know what I mean? I had to just settle for something. You know what? I didn't even go and study my whole 4 years of studying down the drain. That is what I was thinking then. But I said, you know what? Instead of me just worrying myself, perhaps if I can get something, that's that everything and everyone begins somewhere. I want to say that everything and everyone begins somewhere. That is just the mindset that I had then to say, you know what? I'm not doing okay, but it doesn't help me to just stay here, sit here, and stress myself about certain things that I can be able to change. Perhaps if I start something somewhere. And I did start some. I remember I had my CVs that was supposed to be having my degrees, and I said, no, I'm not going to put the degree because perhaps me going to knock on a certain door with a degree might be or could be, you know what I mean? I said, no, let me just go and knock on certain doors like I was doing Coco Shalang. You know, job hunting, it's not an easy thing to do. That I've seen and I've lived to be okay with the fact that that is where I am, you know. Why am I saying, or why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I realize that a lot of times we stress ourselves about the things, especially those that went to universities and went to colleges. They've completed the degrees, the diplomas, and you know the certificates. If you're doing that, and not getting the job of what you actually went to school for, it stresses you. I know, but everyone starts somewhere. Look at me right now. I don't even know if you guys will watch this, but I'm here. You know, saying everyone starts somewhere. This is where I started as well. This is probably my third YouTube channel. I did the streaming thing. I, now this. So I just wanted us to just be aware of these things. It's a mental health is something very important, man. Until the king is down, the game is not over. Stand up, take yourself like a king that you are. That is what the game of chess says. Until the king is down, the game is not over. The pawn will come and threaten you. The queen will come. They can take the queen. You know, when I'm saying they can take the queen, I'm talking about the friendships, the partners, and whatnot and whatsoever. Until yourself as the king, you are down. The game is not over. You still have an opportunity to go and attack. You still have an opportunity to open another door. Stand up. The mental health. Okay, now I'm going to speak about men. We as men actually do not talk. One, probably because sometimes it's because we've built certain walls that we don't want anyone to just come into our spaces to now take an advantage of the fact that I've opened up to someone. But 2025 taught me something, in fact. Why am I saying this? 2025 taught me something about mental health that it's okay to not be okay and it's okay to speak. Given that you have someone who's willing to listen, speak. And I'm telling you, since I spoke, I just can't give context of what was happening. But 2025, those that are close to me probably know. 2025 actually, yeah. 2025 made me realize that as a man, I don't really need to bottle things up. Given a chance and given, an ear, talk. If you're not okay, you never know. The next person could be actually most probably the next person is facing the same challenge as you. Only if you voice it out, then you'll be able to know that actually I'm not the only person in this boat. You know. So 2025, as I was saying, 2025 there's this dilemma that happened, and I found myself not being okay. Everything that I was doing was just not making sense as to why am I even doing this? Because hey, tomorrow these things might not even work out. I might even not, I had those things, and I realized that I'm not okay. And I reached out to this other mentor, aka a friend of mine, and he actually suggested someone to me to say, speak to this person. They know what you are going through. I can't help you at this point because I can't relate to you at that level which you are at. And they subscribe. They actually this. Okay, Chavi, they actually told me or me someone whom I can talk to. And I spoke to that person. And ever since speaking to that person, that pain, like, kapingo, it went away. Just like that, just before you know it, I was coming back to my senses and I was being okay with the fact that that is a phase. And, I prayed to God to say, may it be that I'm not the only person having such individuals in my cycle. That is why actually probably some of the reasons why I did certain things like podcasting and whatnot. It's not an easy thing. Mental health is something very serious. Hence, it refers to something that affects you mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and it may even cause you. I don't know, man. I don't know, health challenges, if I can say, you know. So this is just me to just bring an awareness to the kings out there, the queens, of course. But in the game of chess, I can't speak about the queen because then if the queen dies, it's a different story from the king. That's why I'm referring to you all as the kings to say until the king dies, the game is still on. That is just how it is as life as well. Like I said before, the 2 minute stars, I'm gonna say this again. It's all in here. And I'm not saying this is the most strongest person that I know or that you may be in the know of, but I'm just saying it to say until the king dies, the game is still on. 2 minute soul says it's all in here. It is difficult, if not impossible, to defeat someone who never gives up. Until you yourself, as the king, do not give up, the game is still on. It's not over. It's not over. So that is just it. Come in here and just speak about mental health, man. Be okay, man. Be okay. Embrace being okay. Embrace not being okay. It's a phase. This too shall pass. It's a phase. This too shall pass. Embrace it. Mental health awareness. I just wanted to come here, speak to you about that, and just let you know, man. It's a phase. You are looking for a job. Pray about it. That's just the answer to my, a lot of questions. Like I said, pray about it. Don't stop. Pray about it. You do not get the interview. Pray about it. You may get all the no's, but mind you, all you need is just the one yes. 1 yes. And I'm telling you, prayer works. That I'm telling you. But a lot of things, a prayer works. That's why sometimes I'm worried about those that do not go to church or those that do not have a relationship with God or Jesus Christ, if I'm to say. I worry about those guys because, I think it's a luxury, if not something to be very proud of, knowing God, because there's a lot of things that you go through and you realize that the fact that I know God, I'm not treating a situation like any normal or, usual way of a normal individual would. So I should just pray. A prayer works. Never be ashamed of a prayer. Mental health is a serious thing. Not being okay and being okay with not being okay. Seriously. The no's. You get used to the no's that they end up not hating you, but they are hating you. But I just wanted to remind you that as it stands, we may get all the no's, but all we need is just the one yes. Just one. Apply if you need to apply. Create something. Like I created this to just come in and speak to you guys. To just come in. I know, man. At times, okay, there's this weird thing that people do when they come or when they meet me. They say, "Hey, podcast, dude, can we just relax on that one?" But otherwise, I still love you guys and I appreciate you guys' communications and interactions on this episode. So here today, I just wanted to let you know and remind you that you are the king. And until the king is down, the game is still on. You can still move. Embrace the phases, embrace the seasons. These too shall pass. That is just what I wanted to let you all know. So from me to you guys, episode 5 of Fruitful Sundays, your weekly doses. Cheers.